This happened back in 1993 when I was about 13 years old. My parents, younger sister, and I were moving from Woodland Park, Colorado to Pagosa Springs, Colorado, which was about a 4-hour drive if you were doing the speed limit. We spent all day loading up the moving truck and cleaning the house. Around 4 p.m., my mother went to do one last walkthrough to make sure that everything was out of the house and to make sure that they didn't forget to clean something. That was when she discovered they had forgotten to empty out one of the closets. So we spent the next 30 minutes trying to load that stuff up into the truck. Since we had to be out of that house that day, my parents decided that we would still go ahead and leave the new home instead of getting a hotel. We decided to get one last meal in Woodland Park before leaving. Since we had 3 dogs and 2 cats in the car, we left the windows cracked and knew that we didn't want to be long. Luckily, it was springtime, and with it being up in the mountains, it was still fairly cool outside. Now our cats and 2 of our dogs were typical cats and dogs, but Cheyenne was a little different. He was half Siberian Husky and half wolf. Because of this, a lot of people were always asking us about him. Some were afraid of him because of his wolf side. Cheyenne wouldn't hurt anyone unless he thought someone was attacking one of us or felt threatened. Otherwise, he didn't bother anyone. Since we still had a long drive and our pets were in the car, we didn't want to spend a long time in the restaurant. My dad would go outside to check on the animals from time to time to make sure that they were okay. After we finished up our dinner, we walked back outside. My dad was driving the moving van, while my mom was driving the Cherokee Jeep. My 10-year-old sister, myself, and all the animals were in the Jeep with her. By the time we got back on the road, it was after 6 p.m. Since we had a moving van with us, we couldn't go all that fast on the mountain roads. So a 4-hour drive ended up being closer to a 6-hour drive. Since we didn't have our cell phones back then, my mom had to pull alongside my dad, motioning to pull over. The next chance we got, we pulled off onto the side of the road. They got out, and my mom mentioned that she was getting tired since she had been up fairly early that day. After discussing it, they decided that we would go into the next town over and sleep in the cars. The next town was only a 10-minute drive from where we were, yet still another hour from there to our new home at the rate we were going. After getting to the next town, my parents found a parking lot that allowed overnight parking. My dad slept in the moving truck while the rest of us slept in the back of the Jeep. We had the windows cracked for some cool night air, since 3 people and 5 animals in one Jeep was a lot of heat. Around 2 a.m., my mother was woken up by Cheyenne growling a low growl. Normally, he doesn't do this unless he felt threatened or felt like someone was threatening one of us, which was a rare thing, so my mom knew something was wrong. As she slowly came out of her sleeping state, she looked around to see a guy standing at the passenger side window alongside the Jeep. It was where I happened to be lying down. Cheyenne's fur was standing on end on his back as he was staring at the guy, growling. The other 2 dogs, woken up by now and were barking at the guy. This happened to wake my sister and I up from our sleep. We saw the guy, who looked very unkempt, where his clothes were dirty and had messy long hair. He also had a beard and was swaying a little. That was when my mom saw something in his hand that looked like a bat, but she didn't get a great look at it. She quickly got into the driver's seat of the car, turning it on. Without thinking, she put the car in reverse and pulled up to the driver's side of the truck, honking the whole time. After several moments of her honking frantically, my dad sat up, rolling down his window. I had moved up to the passenger seat and rolled down my window. My mother yelled out, telling him that we have to go now and she will explain later. My dad turned on the truck, looking into the side mirror, seeing the guy running towards us, raising the bat up as he was going to swing at us. He pulled out onto the road with my mom following right behind him, leaving the guy stranded in the parking lot, looking at us as we drove off. We have no clue who he was or why he was there for sure. Our best guess was that he happened to see Cheyenne and wanted to check him out. If it wasn't for him growling and my mom's quick thinking, I don't know what would have happened to us.